So when Mantis offered to send me out the Blackbeard for testing and review, I gotta be honest guys, I almost said thanks, but no thanks. Not because I thought that it would be a bad product, but because I typically don't use dry fire training aids like this. But I gotta be honest guys, I'm glad I did, because this thing is badass.
Americans are buying a lot of guns, but finding ammunition for those guns can be tough. So when will ammo supply finally catch up with demand? Right now, Chris Betts tells me it is impossible to say. Kelly, back to you.
All right guys, before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor of this video, Howitzer Clothing. I actually know the owners of Howitzer personally. They're great friends of mine. They are very passionate about their give back program. They have donated over $650,000 to nonprofits which support veterans as well as first responders. And they have just some of the best t-shirt designs in the industry. They're actually who we use for our shirt designs. So if you want to support us as well as a great group of people, head over to howitzerclothing.com and pick up a shirt. So the number one flaw to your dry fire training is just that you're not doing it enough. And I have the very same problem, which is why I'm always just skeptical of training aids that really add to the setup process, because I think ultimately that just disincentivizes people from dry firing to begin with. But there were a couple things about the Mantis Blackbeard that really sparked my interest. The first one was the ease of setup of this thing. And then the next was the auto resetting trigger. And what I mean by auto resetting trigger, when you're dry firing without a training aid like the Mantis Blackbeard, you get one trigger press, and then you have to run the rest of your string of fire just on a dead trigger, or you have to come off target, run the charging handle, then get back on target, you get one more shot, and that's obviously not ideal for training. So we're in this massive structure, and I've got targets set up just randomly throughout here. I'll probably miss like half of them, but I'm gonna kind of blow through the specs of the Blackbeard. It's $200 on their website. That comes with just the auto resetting trigger. If you want a laser, that's an extra 20 bucks, 220 bucks, not too bad. The laser comes in red, green, or I have mine in green. The reason I like green is because most people have a red dot. So it's easy to distinguish between the red dot that you have on your rifle and your point of impact, which would be that green laser. It comes in two pieces, and the setup of this thing, like I mentioned before, super easy. All you have to do is take out your bolt carrier group, take out your charging handle, and remove your magazine. Put in the Blackbeard and put in the Blackbeard's magazine. That's it. Under 30 seconds, you're good to go. To charge this, one charge, micro USB port on the magazine. One charge gets you 75,000 shots. 75,000. That is a ton. And you can hook this up to the Mantis Laser Academy. If you're not familiar with the Laser Academy, basically it's an application on your phone, and you can set your phone camera up to your target, and it shows you what your shot groups are, and also kind of shows you your time. Again, for me, I don't really use that because simplicity is key for dry fire, but some of you may like it. You can hook up the Blackbeard to it. Just check out their website for some of the details on that. Now, guys, I am far from a CQB expert, but I do have 12 years rather, law enforcement experience, where I had to clear a bunch of different structures as a patrol cop, a lot of times with myself, which is obviously not ideal. And I spent 4 years on a SWAT team, on the entry team, which gave me the opportunity rather, to run through a bunch of different shoot houses in a team environment. And I also had countless hours running through Sims houses on force training. But I recognize that most people, 99% of the population, do not have that opportunity. But what you can do is take something like the Blackbeard and just run through your house. Put some targets throughout your house. And there's no way you're going to be able to run through your house single man CQB safely. It's never going to happen. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't understand the angles of your house and the layout of your house. And it's just fun with something like this. It's a lot more fun when you actually have a laser that you're seeing yourself hit the target, it's a pretty good time. So we are going to head over to a room that I have set up. I've set a bunch of targets up in there, and I'm gonna kind of run you through some of the drills that I do when I'm using the Blackbeard. So let's head over here. So we've got a few targets set up here. Most people, when they're dry firing, they dry fire within 25 yards because they're in their house or in their garage or whatever. And when you're live firing within 25 yards, what you have to take into account is your height over bore or your offset. And what that means, when you're firing a live round, it exits the barrel and then it begins to rise in elevation until eventually it reaches a point of impact, point of aim, point of impact with your red dot. I have a 50-yard zero. It really depends on where your zero is. And then it continues to rise beyond that until it eventually falls, comes back down to your red dot for another point of aim, point of impact for a 50-yard zero. That's about 200 yards. But if you're within 25 yards, you're going to have that disparity. You're gonna have to aim above wherever you want your point of impact to be. But that's great because the Mantis, it's a laser. So there is no rise and fall. It's just a straight line. So you're always gonna have that disparity with your red dot. If you're dry firing at like 50 yards or 100 yards, yeah, it's not great. But most people, again, dry fire within 25 yards. So it's a great tool to really work on your offsets. It's not perfect because depending on whether you're 5 yards away or 25 yards away, your offset or your height over bore is going to be a little bit different, but it's still a good training aid. So we are going to do simple ready up drills, one of the most simple, most effective drills. And I've got it on a 1 second timer and we're going to be working, getting that A zone hit. All right, got the A zone, just under a second. We'll do it one more time. Got it again, one more. And got it. And that's just a simple ready up drill, super effective. All right, so the next drill that I do is target transitions and cadence. What that is basically I've got 3 targets set up, like I mentioned before. They're all equal size, reduced silhouettes with equal spacing between them. And all I'm trying to do is run from left to right or right to left on those targets and try and keep my split times the same. And also the times between transitions the same so it all sounds consistent. So what it'll look like is this. So that all sounded pretty consistent with one another. Obviously, I can't use a timer on this one because the Mantis Blackbeard is not going to be picked up by the timer, but we'll do that a couple times. One more. And the last drill that I run is working throttle control. What that means is when you are shooting a small target and you're taking nice, slow, accurate fire, most people have the tendency to conduct slow transitions and they shoot slower even if they're shooting at a larger target. For some reason, our brains are wired that way to try and stay consistent, and I had a lot of trouble with that throughout my career, so I'm really trying to work that out. So basically, what I do is I set up a small target, nice, slow, accurate fire, hitting the target, and then a fast transition and faster follow-up shots. So keep that brain engaged. So when you are making those transitions and weapon manipulations, keep those fast, and then you can slow it down on that smaller target so you can get those nice, accurate shots. So it'll look like this, slow fire. And I'll do it again. And that just keeps me engaged and make sure I'm conducting all my weapon manipulation no matter what distance I'm at. It's all going to be fast, and then I'll slow down for that trigger press. And that is the last drill. Guys, dry fire, you can do a ton of dry fire work and save yourself hundreds or thousands of dollars on ammo. In fact, most of my training, 70% of my training is dryer, 30% is live. You can do all weapon manipulations, reloads, transitions, things like that. Pretty much everything except recoil management you can do dry, and then save your ammo and your money and your range time for just those things you can't train dry fire, like recoil management or your accuracy. Guys, that pretty much wraps it up. I gotta be honest, I was super skeptical of the Blackbeard. Didn't think I was gonna like it. Turns out I actually love this thing. It's awesome. It's made dry fire, for me, fun again. So hopefully you found that video helpful. If you did, the Blackbeard is gonna take that slap out of your trigger. Take that slap, throw it down on the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.